So the holidays are starting to wind down, and you're about to take all of the ornaments and Christmas lights off your tree and all around the house and everything. But before you put them away, let's use them. Now, there's a million different things that you can take photos of during the holidays, like the little ball, mirrored ball ornament things that you can take a reflection of and kind of do a cool self-portrait or something like that. There's little macro things on the trees and all that stuff. But I wanted to focus specifically on Christmas lights, like the ones that are behind me. And so I wanted to give you a couple different ideas of things, maybe slightly less conventional ones. Well, some are more conventional, some slightly less conventional. So if you've been following me anywhere on Right Lighting or Facebook or Instagram or any of the social things, you've probably seen a shoot I did with a model named Jess, or Vesper Art. I'll have little links here in the description so you can find out more about her. But we did some really cool portraits with Christmas lights. And so you could see this photo here that's currently over my face is the setup. And here, what we did, we had Christmas lights strung in the background and Christmas lights strung in the foreground in front of the lens. Now you've probably seen portraits or non-portraits of the bokeh, right? You know, little out of focus balls in the background behind your subject. And so doing these photos, we kind of took that a step farther. Instead of having just the bokeh there, the light balls things, I'm going to call them light balls, in the background, also in the foreground, to kind of add another layer of depth to the portraits. Kind of gave it a really cool kind of ethereal look, maybe like little fairies or something. It's cool. All that matters is it's cool. And so how to get this look specifically is, first thing you're going to need is a camera or a lens specifically that has an aperture that's wide enough. Something like at least a 2.8. You might be able to get a 4 to work, sort of, but it's not going to be the same. The reason you do that is the smaller the number, the wider the aperture, it allows the background to blow out a little bit better because there's going to be less in focus. Another important thing to note here is that you want to have your subject a decent amount away from the background. The closer you have the subject to the background, the more likely that the background is also going to be in focus as well as the subject. So if you push the subject, like, for example, here, she's about like 10 feet from the background, maybe like 8 feet. Just a couple feet from the background, it'll give you a distance that's going to be workable for whatever lens you're using. This was specifically shot, well, not this right here, the setup shot here. This photo and all the other photos like that were shot at f1.4. At that aperture, the amount of things that are in focus is like this. It's really, really shallow. So we got her in focus, but the background was guaranteed to be not in focus. You also want to make sure that the foreground, which would be the lights in this case here, is also going to be far enough away from your subject so that can also be blown out. Because it's not just whatever is behind your subject, but what's in front of it that's going to no longer be in focus. Now, of course, there's lots of different technical things I can get into other than just the aperture, the focal length, and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different things, little factors that go into it. There's like calculators you can use to figure out what your depth of field is. All that really matters is that you have a wide enough aperture and you're not using an ultra wide angle. This photo here that I'm showing you with the setup here was shot at f2.8. Why is it not blown out? Because it's an ultra wide angle. This was shot at, I believe, 11 millimeters. Now that's 11 millimeters cropped, so that's more like math. I don't know, was that 17 millimeters full frame? Either way, you can obviously see it doesn't work because of the way lens compression works at ultra wide angles. Again, technical stuff. Point is, you want to use something more telephoto. You can even use a 50 like I was using here in these photos, and that'll work out just fine. Now, of course, you don't need to get that complex with everything. We kind of had things jerry-rigged all across this room here. But, you could do something simple like what you see behind me. Obviously, there's Christmas light bokeh things going on right there. I'm going to do something like this photo, which isn't specifically a portrait, but you've probably seen this a million times before. And everything I already stated about how to do it for the photos with Jess, I mean, that all applies to anything, regardless of whether or not you're doing a portrait or, you know, a cup of tea like this here. Also note here, see the teapot here? Not teapot, that's a teacup. See the teacup here? It's clearly not all entirely in focus, and that is because I was shooting at f2.0. I couldn't get the entire I was about to say teapot again. The entire teacup in focus. Now there's a trick to getting this all in focus here, and I actually did a video, which I'm going to put right here, that you can check out on focus stacking so that you can actually get the entire teacup in focus and still use a shallow depth of field like f2 or 1.8 or something like that, and have that beautiful bokeh still in the background. And of course, you don't necessarily have to use lights as lights. I mean, you can use them as props as well. For example, I have this photo here, which kind of came about as an accident. I was taking down the lights for the teacup shoot that you just saw earlier, and I was getting everything all tangled up and everything was getting all crazy, and I was just like, it feels like I'm just tangled in these freaking lights. So I thought, hey, why don't I make a photo on just that? And of course, because if you know anything about me, I make everything dark and morbid, so I had to take this photo too. Yeah. This is basically how I feel about the holidays. I'm not much of a holiday person, despite the festiveness that's going on behind me. But anyway, dark things aside, the point is, get creative. You don't necessarily have to use lights as just a light source or for, you know, bokeh in the background. You can also use it as a prop. There's so many different things. You can use things unconventionally and mess around with it and have fun. I mean, that's pretty much the whole basis of this video here, is to just get creative and have fun. So yeah. So that's everything I have for you guys. So I hope you will check out some other videos I have. I have more coming in the future. I was having mic problems recently, and I have that hopefully all figured out. If you're seeing this video, I have it figured out. If you're not, I'm just talking to myself like I'm crazy, which happens a lot anyway. So yeah, anyway, I hope you check out these videos and subscribe, because I've got a bunch more coming on photography and Photoshop and reviews of things like that. So yeah, stay tuned, and I guess I'll catch you later.